And so following that would basically be the solutions. And part of what you showed me that this buddy of yours or this acquaintance at the gym showed you was somebody referencing about how white people have been wrong about everything and how the white people have not done enough to fix the system for black people.
And that's an interesting statement. And I'll pose this. Is it the white man's job to fix the system?
No.
If the white man couldn't fix the system for 100 plus years, is it still the white man's job to fix the system?
And that's where I want to get into, because I understand, once again, why somebody poses that. Because if the system is dominated by the decisions of white men, well then, all right, white men making the decisions, fix this shit. But that comes back into accepting responsibility for your own life. If you truly assess what is possible. There was a time when being black meant there was a high likelihood that you would be put in bondage, that somebody might kill you in broad daylight for what you looked like, that they might hang you from a tree because of something that you said to one of their precious white women. There was a time where crazy shit was going on. And that's not to say crazy shit still doesn't go on. But anybody that tries to make it seem that oppression today is equal or tantamount to oppression hundreds of years ago is absolutely out of their fucking mind. Because that's not the case. And because that's not the case, it means that people have way more freedom of their lives to go and make something happen for them. Even with some of the antiquated laws that are still in existence on the books, there's a tremendous amount of freedom that you have. And what I am frustrated by within the black community is that too often, because typically these are the vocal people, too often I find people making excuses or pointing at all the shortcomings of the system that are supposedly the reason why they're in a bad position or they're not where they want to be in life. What you find less vocal are people who are thriving and flourishing because they're not sitting around looking for the problem and somebody else, the white man, to solve it. Instead, they said, I bet I'm black. The deck is stacked against me. Cool. What moves do I have available? What can I do to get toward my goals? And the fact of the matter is, for the vast majority, I'd say 99.999% of all people and of black people and any group of people that feels oppressed, 99% of what you want to achieve in life and your ideal vision of life, if you've even done the work to create that vision, you can go do just fine. Right now. With the white man not lifting a finger.
Where's the disconnect?
I think the disconnect comes between what I was saying earlier about being obsessed, hyper-focused on the past, and also disconnected with who you actually are. Because I put it like this, man, because I feel like all of the political statements I've made are out the way. I feel like I'm talking like a politician. If people don't know where they come from, there's a deep disempowerment there. And I don't have it perfectly figured out, right? I can't tell you who my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpappy was and what he did and who was his great-great-great-great-great. I can't do that, sorry. And I've never sent my DNA off to some collection agency to send me back the results of who I am, when more likely they're just using these as genetic markers so that they can create more sophisticated weapons to target very specific genetic populations who have self-identified as African American, as white, as Japanese, what have you. Once again, that's another conversation. But I think that disconnect comes between, it's like everybody wants to have the people want to win, right? It's a natural human desire to triumph, to overcome. And sometimes to overcome or triumph, there needs to be some hurdle. And that hurdle can either be something intangible, or that hurdle can be a person. It can be a villain like we see in movies. And that culturally, the white man is the biggest villain of all in the black community. And I'm not saying that historically that doesn't make sense. But my point still is, how long are we going to point fingers at some external villain, all the while we've never bested the villain inside of ourselves? Because if people spent more time doing that, I promise you they would give less of a fuck about the outside villain. And they'd realize that, oh, okay, I can create these villains. I can create these illusions, these mirages of all of this evil out in the world that's out to get me. And if people study the laws of the universe, if you focus on something long and hard enough, by God, the universe will do its damnedest to make sure it can make it happen for you. So if you walk around, oh man, every cop is bad, all these cops just want to kill niggas. Hey man, I hate to say it, but you're probably one of the people who is more connected to people who have been killed by police, have experienced negative interactions with police, so forth, so on and so forth, because the intention is so hyper-focused in that area versus focusing on solutions, focusing on building community, focusing on, okay, damn, even if I thought the white man was the biggest enemy, I just met this one white guy, I like him a good bit. I met this one white woman, I liked her a good bit. And just taking the time to shift that perception to realize it's one thing to refer to an institution, to a conglomerate, to a behemoth, which is what I think most people mean when they say the white man. They're talking about the institution. And that white man is actually comprised of all shades behind the front-facing white man, right? And if they took that time and that energy to get back connected with their own ancestral roots, to find the pride in who it is they are, and look at the victories, look at the wins, look at what they have overcome, instead of looking at how they've been oppressed, you're looking at the same instance, you're looking at the same happening, but from a different side of the equation, from half full or half empty in that glass of water. And I think there's too much focus on the half empty and not enough on the half full. And if people could step more into the half full and move forward, there would not be this call of, oh, we need the white man to come in and fix it. No, because you're still waiting for Superman to come out the sky. What if I told you you are Superman? You are Superwoman. And that fuck the white man. Don't nobody care. Be the black man. Be the gay woman. Be the whoever. Go out and make the change you want to see. I get it. Some of these institutions, they're massive. But guess what? All changes start with yourself. They start with small steps. They start small. They start locally. And then you build up a movement. Regardless of my belief or my perception of Black Lives Matter, I'll go ahead and tell you it's a fraud, it's a fugazi, it's some bullshit. The organization. But guess what? That shit didn't, the movement, the buy-in that they got from a lot of the black community didn't happen overnight. Right? Any movement doesn't happen overnight. And if it does, or it's close to overnight, kind of similar to what Black Lives Matter was, it's usually controlled opposition, historically, right? So, at the end of the day, people need to stop worrying so much about the identity politics and actually say, okay, not as a black man, how do I feel about XYZ, as Sae'Von Malik Springer, son of Jonathan, son of Urena, what do I think?